Look at verses 3 and 4. He starts off by saying, his divine power granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness. What he's telling us is that God's power, the power that made this world, the power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead, this power has moved into your life and granted us all things that pertain to life and godliness. Paraphrase. Everything you need to be godly, God gave you by his power. How? Through the knowledge of him. Now this is an amazing thing. What this means is that the main thing we need to be godly is to know God. You don't need different circumstances in your life in order to grow in godliness. You don't need new family or new people in your life in order to grow in godliness. You don't need new roommates to grow in godliness. You don't need a new personality to grow in godliness. You don't need a new past. What you need is you need to know God. You see that? He says he has given us everything for life and godliness through the knowledge of him. Look at verse 2. Peter says, may grace and peace be multiplied to you in the knowledge of God and of our Lord and of Jesus our Lord. How do you get more grace and more peace? How do you live a godly life? You live a godly life by knowing God. The reason people don't live godly lives is because they don't know God. Romans chapter 1 has this list of totally immoral things that people do. Gossip, hating their parents, all kinds of sexual immorality. And he says, well, why did this happen? Because they did not see fit to honor God. They rejected the knowledge of God. They suppressed the truth of God in unrighteousness. And when you put down God as an idea, when you cover up God as a person, when you destroy the knowledge of God, you're always going to get ungodly lives. As sure as day follows night. But when someone comes to know God, you will always get a godly life. Because knowing God changes you. And what Peter is here telling us is that we got everything we need for life and godliness because we know him. He has lit up our hearts. He's given us the new birth, and now we see him as beautiful. Before you're born again, you can't even see the kingdom of God. Once you're born again, the very things that look foolish to the world, the cross, a dying Savior, all of a sudden become the most attractive things to you in the world.
Y'all get that?
Let's go!
Hey, welcome to On the Up and Up with Patrick and
Talisha.
And today's episode is part 2 of our journey to Jesus and how it transformed our marriage. But before we get into that, we got shout outs and reviews. Who you got, baby?
All right, so my shout outs go to Ashley, Courtney, Mandy, Joe from the Joe Nessa podcast, Conversations from the Couch, Ariel, and Austin from Double A Shenanigans, Shenanigan.
All right, I got Vanilla Ann, Creating Forevers, Mrs. Mommy Esquire, Forever Marriages, Keita Jackson 24, always there for us, Nika White. She started following us. Wow. Love Heart of Marriage Coaching, Woo Baby, Airy Funny Comedy. She's some celebrity or something who likes us. Cinnamon 4466, Lynn Child, Sally Willis, Ace Mutana, Hakuna Matata, and Beyond Committed, and Shannon Eichelberger. So those are our shout outs for our Instagram. So hit our Instagram up at Patrick and Talisha. Were those from your Facebook?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Go like our page, our Facebook page at Patrick and Talisha. And now we have a review, a 5-star review from Sir Don 2. And it says, a great hidden dilemma for couples. This was a great episode. I remember me and Ray making the decision to find a church for us that we could get involved in. Although we both were away from our hometowns, we still wanted a church that fit us both. Making your faith a priority in your marriage is very important. And that is from Sir Don Dos.
Amen.
And he's referring to our last episode, Our Journey to Jesus, Part 1. Go listen to that if you haven't listened to that already. And with that 5-star rating and review, I think we have a listener of the week because he is already following us.
Yes.
He's following us on all our platforms, on Patrick and Talisha on Instagram. He likes the Facebook page at Patrick and Talisha. He subscribed to the podcast. He wrote a 5-star review. He left a 5-star rating. So that makes, you know what? And guess what? Sir Don 2 is the awesome animator of our cover art. So when you see our beautiful faces plastered all over the internet, that is from Sir Don 2. So it is only right to anoint Sir Don 2 the listener of the week. The listener of the week, Sir Don 2, Sir Don 2. The listener of the week, Sir Don 2. You about to get that graphic. We about to search your pics and put your beautiful family on the map. Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, so it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So we got a lot that's been on the up and up and on the down and down. I don't even know if that sounds good.
It is down and down. Up and up and down and down.
Because I can't call it like the uppers and the downers because I think that refers to some drugs.
That's definitely referring to drugs.
Yeah.
So it's up and up and down and down.
What's on the up and up? We got to find something for down and down. If y'all can find something better for a crappy time during the week than down and down, please email the podcast at podcast@patrickandtalisha.com. We're trying to come up with a different segment name for down and down.
Well, and if you don't, then we're going to keep using
If not, we're going to keep using down and down. But what was on the up and up for you this week, sweetheart?
All right, so everybody knows that coronavirus is wild. It is rampant in these streets, and we had a scare. So the reason why it's been a while is because last week we could not put out an episode because my husband was on the down and down, and I was nervous. I was scared you had the Rona, baby.
You weren't scared I had the Rona.
I was scared. You were in the room like literally all day long.
It's because you quarantined me.
You had to be quarantined. And I had to have these kids by myself. Oh my goodness. Single parents out there. Oh,
superheroes.
Lord.
They put their capes on every single day.
Yes. So, if anyone hasn't told you, you are special and you are important. And oh, Lord Jesus, I am praying for you. So, yes, the reason why it's not my down and down is really my up and up is because he did not have coronavirus. My sweet husband tested negative for COVID-19. Thank you, Jesus. And it was, but shoot, you were down.
I was down. But the test was actually cool though. Like I went to CVS and everything was all safe and stuff. And you just pull in through the drive-through and they get on their little phone and they say, hey, here's all your instructions. But you set an appointment first. Yes. Baby, Talisha set my appointment for me because she's good at stuff like that. And so he was like, hey, 11:40, you go in there. So I sat in the drive-through. They like, it's like going like to like old bank tellers where they just like call you through the window and they tell you step by step what you need to do. They put this thing in the little container. They ship it. I mean, they put it out to you. You reach in there, you get it. You get the little cotton ball swab. Well, it's really small, but it's long. So it goes up in your nose. You swipe the nose and then they were like, hey, put that thing in the testing thing and you put that back in the bag. You seal the bag. Then you take the wipe, you get a wipe with the bag, and then you drive up, and there's a place where you put the test thing. So you wipe the top off, good. Then drop your test sample in there, and then wipe it off, and then you drive off. And then boom, you set up the app on your phone, and then you'll be waiting there like you...
Like pins and needles.
Like you waiting there for like the next 2 days, like 2 to 5 days. You'd be like, please don't let it be 5 days. But it came back in 2 days and it said negative. So I was like, hallelujah.
Yes. So thank you, Jesus, for the negative test. He was quarantined. I had to self-isolate from work. Like I couldn't go into work because we didn't want to spread the germs if we had them.
Boy, our life would have been in shambles if I would have
been-
tested COVID because
It would have been bad.
complete disaster, homie.
Yeah. So again, that was definitely the up and up. And the down and down. So last week I had a little bit of a kerfuffle. And basically I had to call Patrick on my way to work because things were blowing up before I could even get out of the house. I was getting emails and text messages and phone calls like, what is going on with this breakfast we're supposed to be going to? It was a virtual breakfast for our accreditation visit. And basically the wires got crossed. In the old part of the schedule, whenever it was live, it was sent out to the preceptors. And they were not having real breakfast anymore. So, yeah, there was a time difference of, does it start at 7:45 or does it start at 9 o'clock? Well, I booked it for 7:45. Thought we'd be done at 9 o'clock, not starting at 9 o'clock. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from? So we get it straightened out. Preceptors start dropping. Preceptors, by the way, are the wonderful pharmacists who take our students on rotation. So call Patrick, and I'm like, Patrick, oh my gosh.
By students, she means pharmacy students, them nerds.
Pharmacy students, they are brilliant individuals,
Nerds.
not nerds. And so I'm telling Patrick about it. I'm like almost in tears because there's one preceptor in particular that I feel like every time I interact with this person, I look like a screw up every single time. And it is not always my fault. Now, one of those times was definitely my fault, but these other times were not my fault. And I'm like, hey, my name is out there and I'm out here looking stupid. And Patrick was like, hey, call him, it's okay. It's okay, baby, just call him, let him know. That deserves a phone call, Talisha. And so, long story short, I never got to talk to the preceptor. I did get the email the preceptor and let him know what was going on. But yeah, that was a downer. But my husband came through for me when I got home. I came home. I was kind of halfway over it, but still like, I look stupid out here. And I come in, and on the counter is calamari from Carrabba's. That is my all-time favorite. Patrick surprised me with that. He saved the day like the wonderful husband hero that he is.
Yeah, I knew you were going through it, and I knew you were going to be very stressed out throughout the rest of the day because stuff that happens in the morning, it'll mess your day up, man.
Yes. So that was right on time.
Especially about stuff that you can't control. I was like, dang, man. At least have something cool to come home to after a rough day at work. Even though that calamari was trash.
Yeah, that was COVID calamari from Carrabba's.
They ain't been cooking calamari or something because that was piss poor.
Shoot, that was not the same. But
I wonder if it would have been different if we stayed and actually dined in.
Like dined in?
Yeah, but because that to go was crap.
Yeah, but we've had it to go, and it's been
but
very good. Yeah, that was just not good.
It wasn't good.
Overall, thought it counts.
Yeah, thought it counts,
you
man.
Nailed it. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. I'm just trying to be out here in these streets because when you're happy, I'm happy.
Oh, happy wife, happy life.
Happy spouse, happy house.
I love you.
I love you too. What you got?
I was about to say what was on the up and up for you.
On the up and up with me was going through my marriage coaching. I had got out my comfort zone and I really wanted to get down and beneath the surface level and go deep and to see what the real problems of marriage were out here in these streets. So I just put on my Facebook page and Instagram. I don't think I did it on Instagram, but I put it on my personal Facebook page and I posted in a bunch of groups like, hey, I'm looking to interview 5 wives and 5 husbands on their marriage. And people was like, hey, I'll talk about my marriage. Hey, I'll talk about my marriage. So I had 6 Zoom calls with wives and husbands this week and just getting their insights on marriage. So getting out of my comfort zone and asking people like, hey, you want to interview? And then having just a great response. So, hey, so out there, hey, if y'all want to be interviewed on your marriage, like holler at me at podcast at patrickandtalisha.com and we can get this interview, or hit us up on our Facebook page at Patrick and Talisha, or our Instagram at Patrick and Talisha. Promo. Anyways, but yeah, always looking to interview like couples and see what's going on in their life. But we do have like honesty. I don't want no boring conversations talking about your marriage is all perfect and rainbows and stuff. I want that real stuff, man. Because like I said, everyone fights.
Oh, absolutely. There's
all couples fight.
Opportunity in every marriage.
All couples fight and some couples repair. So don't be like, hey, man, it just ain't working right now. All right.
Yep.
And we got to talk about it. Get it off your chest because you'll be helping somebody.
That's right.
So, but yeah, I had great interviews with some amazing people, some amazing marriages out there, some real honesty, some real transparency, some real vulnerable moments out there. So, and that leads into my like down and down. Like, had a couple people just like one of the questions I ask is what's the biggest obstacle you have overcome as a couple? And two of them were like infertility and miscarriages. I thought infertility was like you aren't able to have a baby, but that includes like having those miscarriages and just like hearing like what that does and the toll that it can take on a couple, because they just didn't have one. They've been multiple, like three, and then some of them said it was like, hey, each of the births or the pregnancies were further along than the last one, and it's just like just the thought process that actually goes through it, like and what stood out to me was just like, oh, how much we like overlook or don't pay attention to like women and families who have to deal with the miscarriages. I mean, we've had couples who've done it and they didn't stop like trying to have children. They actually did have a child after that. But once they have the child after that, you're like, all right, cool, they done fixed it, right? Problem erased. No, that child that didn't make it, or when they had the miscarriage, like they still think about that child each and every day. And so it's a part of them. And I was like, man, why don't we like talk about this more? And that just really opened my eyes. So I was very thankful to interview these women and like actually like help them, because they were like, yeah, that helped me heal. I was like, man, that was the highlight of my week. Like talking to you, like stuff is like real. Is people got to get out there and talk about that stuff. Like I said, if you never had to deal with it, you're not going to be real aware of it or see the after effects that it can have on a relationship. So that was just one thing that opened my eyes to it. So go out there and talk to people, man, because like the more awareness that you get, the better you'll be equipped to help other people when they come to you. If you're a helper in life, I think we all should be helpers in life because we're all like Christians and stuff. But people are gonna like open up to you, and you want to be like, oh, I can feel you, or have that empathy and sympathy and compassion for them when they tell you what has happened to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so proud of you for stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I'm so proud of those individuals that decided to sign up to do those interviews with you, because that is hard. That is a hard conversation. We've never experienced that. And so just bringing a light to that, I just thank you, ladies, for being so brave.
Yeah, because just because it didn't happen to us does not mean it won't happen to us. And now we're like, oh, okay, it won't blindside us as much as it would if we didn't know about it. It's like, oh yeah, so they'd be like, oh, like every time this date comes up, my child would have been this age.
Yes.
Or we would have been planning a birthday for this child that did not make it. Like, yo, like that's real.
That is real.
That is real deal Holyfield stuff.
Yep.
So
that we love y'all. Yeah. We are thinking about y'all.
So shout out to Kelly, Whitney, Adina, Nick, Carrie, and Farah for letting me interview y'all. And I'm still accepting interviews. So holla at me. Even if y'all didn't have a relationship that made it, I need to know about that stuff too. I had one woman was like, hey, I've been through 2 divorces. Let me talk to you about what don't work. And what I wish I would have known then, what I know now. So yeah, I'm looking to talk to everybody, man. And it's really fun. And I got, cause, this isolation, this isolation has been killing me. Yeah.
Patrick is such an extrovert. And being here in the office, not being able to go and like have coffee at the coffee shop, going to the
first of all, you made me sound bougie. Hold up.
You go to the coffee shop.
Oh, buddy, you're making me sound bougie like I'll be going to the coffee shop. I'm out here in these streets.
Yeah, you be in the coffee shop streets.
And it's pumpkin spice season 2.
PSL for WPR.
I might have to sit in that Starbucks line this week.
See?
I might have to be in that drive-thru this week.
Hey, go to Dunkin'. I got a coupon.
Okay. right, that pumpkin spice be hitting, boy.
But yeah, thank you all for doing that.
Yeah. So that's leads us into bump that. That's staying in there. That leads us into Bible recap. Bible recap. I am 60 days in. That is 2 months. I am done with Leviticus, and I am in Numbers right now. So Leviticus is all about them laws and being dirty and clean. Because you got to remember, back in them times, like, they ain't have showers and community service. All they had was robes and sheets and sandals. Can you imagine how dirty? And they out in the desert. Can you imagine how dirty it'd be out there? So God was like, hey, y'all got to have these laws. Don't be out here touching dead animals. Don't be out here doing all this stuff, because you got to stay clean. Especially you're going to come into worship me. Like, you got to be fresh, you dig? But... But can you imagine how dirty it was back then? I mean, this is horrible. Way back. Like, they out there in the desert.
Even just thinking you just going outside and playing ball.
That's why it's so important for, like, when Jesus was washing people's feet, like, like, they had sandals. They ain't had tennis shoes or anything. Like, feet was super, super dirty back then. That's why it's so important to, like, wash feet. Like, you got to understand that cleanliness. So that was all in Leviticus. And then in Numbers, we get to, like, count all the tribe members. There's a whole bunch of people. I think it was like 600,000 people out there. So it wasn't just Moses going down there talking like 25 people. He was talking to, like, the heads of the tribes. Because remember, it's 12 children of Israel. So all them cats had tribes, and they tribes had tribes, and they tribes had tribes, and they tribe. That's why you hit all the mites and Levitikites and the Levites and all the ites and all the words that are hard to pronounce in that Old Testament, but they all tribes and they all the children of Israel. So we were learning about that. People starting to rebel against Moses again, like that they not getting it. They still not listening to Moses. And God was like, oh, you're not listening to Moses? Oh, strike you dead. All right. I just read one story where they was like, hey, we about to go scout the land of Canaan where our enemies is at. And they was like, oh, that's the land of milk and honey, dog. But 12 dudes came back. 10 of them was like, hey, we got to tell them that, hey, them dudes is big and gigantic, and we going to lose if we go up against them. It was two of them that had faith. It was like, man, we got this. We got the real God on our side. And that's what he told us to do. So they wanted to lie about their spy report and be like, no, we got to tell them it's terrible. It ain't even that good of milk. That milk spoiled. And so they tried to have a bad report for the Israelites, so they went and tried to go up in the land, and they got struck dead. They was dead. God not playing with them. All right, like, he not playing. But he's merciful. But he ain't playing with you. He gives you instructions. You better do it. Luckily for us, we have Jesus Christ. They didn't have Jesus yet. All right? So we're very, very fortunate. So, yeah. Jesus paid all our debts. So we were straight. We got a zero balance.
All right.
So, but yeah, Old Testament, that's what was going down. It was hard out in them streets, and I'm still learning, and I am enjoying this Old Testament. Because Numbers has more stories than Leviticus. Leviticus was a bunch of rules. Numbers has a little bit more stories.
Very good recap.
So I'm enjoying Numbers a bit more.
Yeah. Thank you.
So part 2.
All right.
We left off about where can my black kids go in this white church? Where they gonna go? God, they gonna grow up in this white church. Man, I'm thinking this is before I became who I am today,
all right.
or like last week, or 2 weeks ago,
couple months.
Because I'm a new man, yeah, new Patrick, right? But like back in the day, I'm like, man, I want to like let my children grow up into this church where they're the only black children. Because like I told y'all last episode, part 1, Talisha's church friends was nerds and weird. Why are you rolling your eyes? You know there was nerds.
I'm rolling my eyes because you're like, oh, Talisha's church friends are weird. And you didn't have no church friends.
Well, I know they wouldn't have been weird like that. Anyways. All right, so. But I was just like, man, I don't think we gonna take my kids to a black church because I want them to be around more black people.
That is what you said, and I was like, nah, I want them to grow up and have like a children's church and like have stories with their friends, like children's church.
They ain't gonna know none of the old. They ain't gonna know none of the old black songs.
Teach them.
I don't know the old black songs.
Okay.
But I want them to know the black songs.
No.
Shoot.
Look.
He's on time. Oh, yes, he's on time. He's an on time God. Yes, he is. The black version.
Okay. Teach it to them.
All right. I don't be singing it like that.
How they gonna sing it in our church? He's on time.
He's on time.
He's on time.
He's on time. Oh, yes, he's on time.
You better stop because they don't say it like that.
Snapping their fingers. Oh, yay, yay, yay. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. It's two different Americas. It's two different churches.
Lord.
It's just phrased different.
Gosh.
The praise is a little different. But no, y'all don't sing like that. It's more rock and roll.
Yeah, it's like
It's more rock. It's more rock.
more modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more modern rock.
So again, I was having a really hard time finding the connection of, oh, they gotta go to a black church. I think that it is so stupid that America's favorite day to be segregated is Sunday.
Malcolm X said the most segregated place is noon on a Sunday. The church.
Yeah. And I just think that it's time to break that mold. Like, it's unnecessary.
Absolutely, it should be.
It will be.
It
for
should
us.
be. It should be.
And so that's just kind of where I was coming from. But Patrick was really, really having a hard time dealing with it. And then I was trying to like reassure him and like be like, okay, but what about Jack and Jill? They're gonna be in Jack and Jill because you were in Jack and Jill. And Jack and Jill is the bougie black people club. For the black people who interact with mostly white people.
Who can swim?
Oh, bougie.
The bougie swimming is not bougie.
No.
Swimming is a survival mechanism
just
for
saying,
the old black people.
No. For you to be like, oh, black people who can swim.
No.
Versus black people who can't swim.
That's what. No, but the militant blacks back in the day taught they black people to swim because it's like white man ain't about to drown me.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Like, you gonna get me, you ain't gonna be by drowning.
Basically what it boils down to is a lot of black females, and I'm just being like a generalized statement right now. I'm making a generalized statement. I'm not saying that all black females cannot swim because that is inaccurate and not true.
Don't do it.
But however, a lot of black females can't swim, and it was because we didn't want to get our hair
How
wet.
true is that? A lot of black. How true is that?
I know more black males who can swim than I know black females who can swim.
That's because you didn't go to a black church.
So you know more black females that can swim than more black males?
I know the black, yes. I don't know anybody. I don't know that many people who can't swim. Besides you.
Because they all went to the bougie
no,
Jack and Jill
that's not bougie.
organizations with you.
That's basic life. That is basic life skills. Guess what? You didn't learn to swim in Jack and Jill.
It is a basic life skill. I absolutely agree. My neighborhood didn't have a pool whenever I grew up. And so we tried to, yes, it did.
We went to the YMCA.
You also had a pool in your neighborhood.
I learned at the YMCA. I learned to swim when I was 2.
Okay, well, my parents can't swim.
My parents didn't have a neighborhood.
But could your parents swim?
Yes.
My parents can't swim.
Because my dad wasn't trying to get drowned by the man.
Okay. Well, my parents couldn't swim. They still can't swim.
Your young parents.
It is
They weren't segregated. Your parents weren't even segregated.
You're right. You're exactly right. And so it is a goal of mine to learn how to swim, but I don't know how to swim.
We're getting way off topic here. Anyways, how do we even get to swimming?
Bougie Jack and Jill.
You talking about Bougie Jack and Jill? No, but I
love Jack and Jill, by the way.
We ain't gonna get
I'm
in.
gonna get uninvited.
Ma'am. Hey, you ain't getting in.
Your kids can't come
Your
here.
kids can't come in here. But it's and I wrote down like decisions that I make, even for my children, are a reflection of my own journey. So that the decision that I wanted for my kids was like, because I grew up, like I said, around white people, and what that did to me was like, oh, I'm one of the few black. I guess I'm one of the good ones because I'm always around white people or something like that. So I kind of developed it's a form of self-hatred. Mm-hmm. But that's what the system does to you, homie. It's like, oh, the ones or two that aren't like the rest, y'all are the good ones. Because y'all aren't around. It's like, oh, it makes me look at my like black friends differently or something like that. Or because you're at a different like economic status or something, you think you're better than somebody.
Right. And I think that as parents, we have to be very diligent about making sure that we don't let those kind of thoughts pervade their minds, because that is not okay. We are not better than anybody because of what we have or because of what we don't have. So like that, those thoughts definitely have to be squashed, but it is like on us to make sure that we make that impression.
My
on our
dad
children.
snatched me back to reality real quick. He's like, hey, we are the poor people in the neighborhood, okay? We're the poor ones. We ain't the rich. We ain't got all that. You see that, boy?
Right.
We not rich.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like different things that you can do to help them have that responsibility and not have the entitled bratty attitude.
Right. Yeah, but that is a real thing that happens.
Yeah,
like those are the effects of racism. That's how you got them Herman Cain's out there, and that's how you got them folk out there.
Up, Daniel Cameron.
That's how you get them Candace Owenses out there. That your skin folk ain't your kin folk.
Right.
All right. That's how that happens. That's called racism.
Yes, that is definitely racism.
So.
And our boys will not be participating.
Oh, no, I slap them. I slap him.
Yeah.
I slap both of them.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the events. Well, or rewind to earlier this year when Ahmaud Arbery was killed jogging in the neighborhood by two racist white supremacists. And George Floyd was an unarmed black man killed by a cop. I don't even know his name. And then Breonna Taylor was murdered in her own home. Black people. Well, the world was paying attention to this one. The world was paying attention to this one. We know what was happening, but the world got to see this because COVID was there and people were in their houses, so they were like forced to watch the news, and this is something that they could not ignore. And then the uprisings occurred. They were not riots. They were uprisings because the people are sick and tired of the government like killing the citizens
and devaluing their lives
and getting away with it. So people in our church felt a certain way. People in our church went to the Facebook streets, and that made other people in our church uncomfortable. I guess I haven't seen not near one of it. I just hear from what you be talking about because I don't even be watching it for like that. But apparently some feathers were ruffled. I was like, see, I told you. I told you. I was like, they ain't down with you. So people was like getting mad at the uprising and property damage and not saying a darn word about the lives that were taken away. And that makes us mad.
That makes us very mad.
That makes us mad. I was like, oh, that's how you think? That's how you think. And they're your church members. And so I'm like, oh, this validates everything. This validates everything that I've been saying. Y'all, look, they don't care about you. They don't care about you. Because that was one of y'all on the streets dead. They ain't going to ride for you. Yeah. And so I was like, what y'all going to do now? I was like,
now? Can we leave
just
now?
like, balls in y'all's court now. Blackhead, what you about to do? And our pastor, he had a sermon after some of the events was going on. He could feel the tone. I mean, we weren't even in church, were we?
No,
it was all online. So you could like see everything that was going on Facebook, and people like not subtweeting on Facebook, but like sub messages.
Yeah. Well, church was back in session. We had chosen not to go back.
Oh yeah, we weren't going. Yeah. Yeah. So we were just watching it all virtually. So he made a sermon about racism being a sin, but I just didn't feel like that was like specific enough because that's just. It was too general, so people are going to be like, okay. And they're still not going to get, like, why we are so angry. Like, this happens all the time. Like, it's a systemic problem, and it can only be addressed if the dominant society actually addresses it and recognize what the heck is actually going on. Like, they're mad at property damage.
Right.
Like we are mad about lives. Like our safety is at risk. That's why they were mad, and that's why that's why there were the uprisings. And it's like if you and it's frustrating for black people because we've been speaking this our whole lives, and you think like the people you go to church with are like your brethren. I don't know if sistering is a word.
Yeah.
But you think that they're brethren, but they're like, dang, man, I've been going to church 20-something years or something. You really don't get it.
Right.
They don't have to get it.
They don't have to get it. And so whenever you think about it, it's like, that really hurts. Like, that hurts to hear someone say that. And it's like Patrick said, like earlier, you're like, oh, well, these are the good black people. Like, it makes you think, well, oh, do they just only rock with me because they think I'm a good black person?
Y'all the good, y'all. Hey, I'm not racist. I got black people at my church.
Right. And it's like, nah, like we're not about that. And so Ariel was like very vocal on Facebook and Instagram about our views. She talked a lot more than I do. And so she was saying a lot of stuff and people were coming back like, oh, are you calling me a racist? And it's like, well, if you felt like I was calling you
a hit dog will holler. Ariel always say, a hit dog gonna holler.
A hurt dog.
A hurt dog, a hit dog gonna holler.
A hurt dog will holler.
She stay saying that.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, shoot, no, I wasn't calling you that. But if you identify with some of this stuff that I'm saying, then maybe you are. And, this is the same thing I said. And it's like, it's more than like politics. Like, this is like lives.
Human rights.
Lives are.
It's humanity, is not politics.
Right. And so because whenever people have not gone through that, it can be so hard for people to empathize with it because it's like, no, I don't see it. I don't think we have an issue with race in America.
Well, I'm not racist, but you benefit from the system. That's
right.
racist. Or you may not even benefit from it. You ain't got to deal. It don't hurt you.
Right. And then I think some people also are like, well, I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Because maybe if I
one.
don't say anything, I'll be in the right. And it's like, or I'm scared that I'm going to say the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
And then everybody's going to jump on me.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to say anything.
Right.
And, like that sucks too, because when you don't say anything, it's like freaking Aaron Burr. No one knows what you're for and what you're against. So it's just like, we don't know. Are you with me or are you not?
Are you going to be, and not even with you again, are you going to be in them trenches with me fighting? If I'm going to call you my brother in Christ, my sister in Christ, this issue is a deadly issue. Like, this is what they... Sort of like what they be fighting for in first century. It was like the government is like attacking a certain sect of people and taking advantage of a certain sect of people.
Right. And
they can't see it that way.
Yep.
It's like, like we trying to tell y'all because the white guilt. It's like, I wasn't around during then. I ain't do nothing about it.
Right.
You got to do something about it.
Yes. And it's just like, okay, well, what side of history are you going to be on? Like, are you going to be on the right side of history or the wrong side of history? Because, if you can't see that Black Lives Matter, I ain't
rocking with you.
It's going to be yeah. And, I know, and the argument is all lives matter. Yes, absolutely, all lives matter. Like Patrick said, that is the goal. All lives matter. But until we realize that Black Lives Matter, all lives don't matter. Period.
Yeah, we're trying to include. We love to have all lives matter. We love to say that with 100% confidence that it was fair for everyone down the line, but it ain't. Reality has proven that. History has proven that time and time again. And we tired.
Right.
And so I'm looking at your family. So I'm like, well, y'all the main ones. In the church, y'all pretty much is like, who's that one black person who speaks for everybody?
We don't speak for everybody, but we have been in our church for years, like almost 30 years. Like, we've been there, and families come and go. Black families, white families, Latino families, Filipino families come and go. We've been there. And so, our
we
family,
would love to stay there.
And we would love to stay there. And our family decided, well, let's call a family meeting with our pastor. And that's exactly what we did. Patrick kept the boys, and Austin kept Ariel's family.
Yeah, I let them ride because I was like, technically, I'm not a part of this church. This is y'all. I was like, I ain't even a part of this. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to say some stuff because I'm ready to go. I ain't got to have the meeting. I just ain't going to I'm just not going.
Yeah. And before we went into that meeting, we prayed about that because we were so scared. Like, we have been at this church, but this meeting is going to make or break whether we stay at this church. Mm-hmm. And we prayed about it. Like, Lord, like, open our hearts, open everybody's hearts. Let everyone come to this table with a optimistic view. Let everybody come humbly. Let us come just willing to hear from you. And y'all, when I tell you the meeting went better than even if I could have literally said, and then this person's going to say this, and they're going to say this, and then that's going to require them to say this. No, the meeting was phenomenal. God always has a way. He's always listening. He's always working behind the scenes. Whether you know it or not, you might think something's going to go one way, and it goes completely another way, and the devil wants you to just keep assuming, oh, they're going to say this, or they're not going to have your back, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, well, put it to the test because God always has your back. And I do believe, like I told Patrick after the meeting, like, God can change hearts. And people who are being really defensive about things right now, like if they're actually taught or educated on it, then, God can change their heart. And so the meeting went well. We're still at church. Then that next Sunday.
Yeah, because when you came back and told me what was said at the meeting, I was like, oh, okay, good. So he's like willing to like listen and like be educated. Because he was like, man, I don't know.
Oh, right.
He wasn't
right.
He was like, he wasn't like this side's right, this side. I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do, man. I'm willing to listen and implement what y'all tell me because I don't know.
Right. And he was very open to just everything. Like, he was so down, like, to hear, well, how can we make LRC a place where everybody feels included, where everyone feels valued, where everyone feels like they have a voice and a stake in here. Like, I'm so happy that the meeting went the way that it went. Mm-hmm. And so then the next Sunday came.
Next Sunday, he gave a different sermon.
He gave a different sermon.
And I was like, oh, okay.
And it was a sermon that he already had planned. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that, the conversation probably did impact it. But he already had this sermon planned.
Yeah.
So it was hot fire.
Yeah, he got in. I forgot what he done said, but he got into like black and white. Like, this is why this is wrong.
Right.
And there's going to be some changes around here. If you don't like them changes, you can get out. I don't even think that was that sermon. He just gave a different one.
I don't know. It was a couple of them.
He gave a different one. It was like, hey, it's going to be some changes around here.
But the whole church was amening.
Amen.
The whole church was.
Yeah, and then you start seeing Facebook messages like, oh, dang, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I get it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, now Ariel's not like the big loudmouth black woman screaming racism, which you say was like, hey, she's right.
Right.
I'll never say Ariel was right again.
That's the last time.
Edit that out, scratch that from the surface.
This was the one time.
One time, one and done. All right.
But yeah.
Oh, that just hurt me right now. Hot dog. But I was like, okay, because you got to be woke if I'm gonna rock with you. I promise I can't rock with you if you're unwoke. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna be in the trenches with you if you're unwoke because I know you're gonna go out there and let me die and not have me get no justice.
Right. We can't have it.
That will not happen. I can't rock with you if you do. So, but then me and you and I had a deep emotional conversation about this, and that's when you was like, I believe God can change people's hearts. I believe it.
Yes, that was that conversation. And I was like, I really feel like the devil is just trying to destroy something that is so good. Like, we have been here. We and it's not by coincidence that we're still here. Like, God has us here for a reason. He has a mission for us. And if we can walk away after a freaking Facebook post, and the Facebook post wasn't even saying, like, I don't believe black people. Like, it was nothing like that. It was
like
just
that.
ambiguous, and it wasn't like, I'm rocking with you. That's basically the extent of it.
Right.
The post didn't say that it was rocking with you. So, okay, so now you're going to leave. So you're going to let the devil destroy all this for that.
I had no skin. I still had no skin in the game. So
Okay,
he could have broke it. He could have broke it down if he wanted to, because I was still like, I'm out, and this was going to be the devil like leading me out.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, here you go, Pat. There you go. There's the way out.
Here's your first class ticket out of here.
Yeah, and who knows how long it would took y'all to recover from trying to find a new church. My goodness.
Well, anyways, I was just like, I feel like we are close. We're on the brink of revival, and I'm willing to fight for this. I'm not willing to just let this just die. And so we have like a whole like new initiative, like because we are a diverse church. And so we want to be like, okay, well, how can we be more diverse? How can we help other churches be diverse? Like, God can make it to where LRC is the church where other churches go. They look for whenever they're trying to diversify their church and they're trying to understand.
Life Restoration Center.
Oh, Life Restoration Center. Yes. Whenever they're trying to seek understanding, and they want to have their members feel more included, because I do feel like we don't speak for all black people, put that out there, but we are black people and we do speak, and we can have a perspective that we can shine a light on.
And it's like, all right, well, now I don't have a racist box to check off on my church, so I got to keep going to the church now. Oh, daggum, that's a pretty big box in my book. So I don't non-racist check. That's right. Checked. So I'm still going to church.
Yeah.
Still listening to church. But rewind, and during this time, all throughout this time. All right, so COVID did happen. Go back to COVID again.
Go back to COVID.
COVID happened, and I was traveling the United States, and I get called back in because COVID's happening. I can't travel for my job anymore. So I'm sitting at home. Like twiddling my thumbs, training here, training there, twiddling my thumbs for most of the part. And I'm thinking, hey, man, I want to do a podcast, but I don't want to talk by myself. He's like, oh, let me do a podcast. I'll do it with you. So I was like, hey, let's do a marriage podcast. Hey, we've been married for a long time, dog.
And we had talked about doing a marriage podcast a while back.
Yeah, I was like, hey, let me take all this team coaching and all this team building that I've been doing in corporate world, and let's transfer it to like marriage coaching. All right, well, dang, we got to do some research on marriage. We got to go out and get some marriage books and some marriage resources to like read about what marriage is really about. Because our marriage has been good without like techniques and studying and stuff like that. It's because we have our coaching ability has helped us like connect on a deeper level, right?
Right.
So I'm by like, well, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 marriage books. So I'm just like compiling all this marriage data and all this marriage knowledge and resources. I'm joining all types of Facebook groups. I got like married for real, Black Marriage Matters, Fireproof Your Marriage, The Unveiled Wife, Kingdom Man, or Man of God, Man of the King, and Kingdom whatever, Marriage Mastery. So I'm in one of these groups called Fireproof Your Marriage, and that is just like it's Christian based, and there's just a whole bunch of mess and drama in that one because people are going through it. I was like, man, look at all these problems they're going through. And then one lady posted is like, hey, my husband has left me and I miss him so much. My life is in shambles. I don't know if I want to live anymore. And this guy posts in like her comments like, hey, first thing you need to do to save your marriage is go get The Grace Walk by Stephen McKay. That's my baby coughing. Go get The Grace Walk by, I think his name, Steve McVeigh or something like that. Go get the workbook. I was like, oh, snap, that might be a good marriage book for me to look into, right? So I ordered The Grace Walk. I was like, this is going to be a great Amazon. It's going to come the next day or next 2 days. I'm going to have my Grace Walk. It's going to be a workbook. I just ain't got to read about it. Man, I got that book. I was like, This book ain't got nothing to do with no doggone marriage. I done ordered the wrong doggone book. The wrong freaking book. So I was like, well, it's a workbook. Might as well go get to working in it. Like, what the crap? It's an 8-week book, and it changed my life. It completely changed my life. It completely changed, like, my philosophy on, like, approaching spirituality, Christianity. Told me what sin was. I ain't know none of this stuff. And that's what happens in church, man. They just start preaching, and they don't really I don't know if a lot of pastors know. There's like, and young people don't know nothing about church. You grew up in the church, but you might as well be like the what's the Galatians?
What?
You might as well be like the Romans or the Galatians, the people they was talking to in the New Testament.
Galileans?
I know they're not Galileans.
I don't know.
Galatians.
That's a book.
I know. It's Paul preaching to the tribe.
Well, I ain't there yet.
Exactly.
You're further ahead.
I'm not. Like the Ephesians, those are people. That's a set of people.
Oh, well, Galatians.
So, the Romans. Who's he talking to? The Romans.
Yeah.
Like, is Paul going out here preaching to these people?
Okay. No, I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. So consider me like one of them people.
And basically, it's like you're in a chemistry class, but you ain't took, like, you're in organic chemistry, but you ain't took Chem 101.
Right,
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so
we need to go break it down.
So that book, like, broke down everything. It's like the reason you are struggling in your, like, walk with God is because you're trying to be closer to God through, like, your behavior. Like, you're trying to be a good person all the time, and you think that's going to impress God and that's going to bring you closer to God. When, like, in fact, that has nothing to do with your relationship with God. All you got to do is trust God. So I was like, man, if I'm a good person, then I'll be closer to God. Well, that, like, took all my faith out, and it taught me about flesh. It taught me about, like, oh, you're working out of the flesh. Flesh just simply means, like, you're self-sufficient. You're trying to do all this faith work by yourself, man. Because I was just like, man, I'm a good person. I ain't like these sinners up in here. These people are way off to me. Like I make more money. I do all this stuff. Like, I got a good career. I got a good family. I got a beautiful family. I'm doing pretty doggone good. And I ain't all pray and stuff like that. That's all flesh, man. It's all flesh. It's all, like, based off your gifts and your talents. Like, I can do this by myself. And that is exactly how not to be closer to God. But that book, like, taught me all of that. It's like, all you gotta do is trust him, homie. All you gotta do is trust God. And that, like, took the weight off my shoulders. But it was an 8-week workbook, and I was like, oh, bet. All right, cool. And that's when it started cranking up. I was like, I got it. And then things got hard in life. I was like, I'm closer to God, but life is so freaking hard. Yeah. It's so freaking hard. We had, what was that, episode 7 with my entanglement? All that stuff started happening. All this, like, missing my mom, all this therapeutic stuff started happening. I was like, it gets worse before it gets better when you, like, become, like, that new version of you. It's like you kill the old self. You're filled with, like, the new you. You're renewed in spirit. You're filled with the Holy Spirit. It's the new you. But that don't mean it's going to be easier. Crap got really hard. Crap got really rough. The anxiety went up. The stress went up. The anger went up. The arguing went up.
Mm-hmm. And I think that whenever you're not looking towards God, the devil's like, well, I ain't got to focus on you. I'm focused on these people who are over here talking to God. And so whenever you are more aware of your relationship with God, the devil's like, hey, wait a minute now. Let me throw something at you. Like, throw some type of dart at your newfound balloon. Yeah,
that workbook explained, like, why we sin. Oh man, it was like how you should pray. Well, not how you should pray, because it was all about, like, hey, all y'all trying to do this stuff based off, like, legalism, like the laws and stuff. It's like, you don't need to use the law. Jesus was enough. Jesus sacrificing himself for you was enough. Like, stop trying to live like the laws. And he's like, do you notice a pattern? Like, every time you try to do it that way, you keep falling back into your old ways, don't you? Every time it fails, every single time. And he's just like, man, just trust me, dog. Just trust me. It's like you walk with God's grace, and it clearly explains like this is a grace walk. It's not a grace run. You take your time doing it, man. And that book pretty much saved my like spirituality. It saved my life. And it was and check this, it was an accident, but wasn't an accident. Was it a accident? I was like, I got this book by mistake. I had bought it with no intention of it being for what it was. Had no clue. I was like, dang, baby, I done bought the wrong doggone book. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was. That's God, man. And it's like, man, I'm starting to slow down and like see what he's like doing. Like how I was able to break down spiritually, like what our argument did and how the devil was like actively trying to get us. I never would have been able to see that. So reading that book like prepared me for that fight we had.
Yeah, it did.
Like, because I wouldn't have been able to break it down and analyze it at that level because I wouldn't have been reading that book. Mm-hmm. And I was like, God was probably be like, hey, y'all about to have this fight. Let me go get this dude some tools. Mm. Like, if y'all don't think, man, y'all don't think God ain't out here, like, moving all these boulders from y'all, like, moving all these death devices that's going to kill y'all. Like, he's out here working hard. It's easy for him, but he's working hard for you, dog. Yep. And if you just didn't know, like, how you on the highway, how many cars he's moving out from hitting you and killing you. Like, it's like, oh, get that out the way. And y'all just sitting here driving, thinking y'all on a smooth way to your destination. God is out here moving all kinds of things out your way. Like, come on, man. Like, yes. Man, I'm about to feel it. Like, you gotta get it. It's hard to explain. Like, I can't explain it, but that's just how it is. And that's been my journey to Jesus. And well, it's it's Sunday. And LeBron won a championship.
With the Lakers.
I don't care about the Lakers, but LeBron won a championship. That was on my up and up. Dang, that was on the up and up. But I digress. But yeah, and like a few Sundays ago, I finally went up there and screamed like a Pentecostal. We've been going to church like physically now, and pastor like called the altar call. Usually I'd be up in church sleep, but I screamed.
And how did it feel?
It felt great. I felt free because I read in Galatians. See, it's a great book. Chapter 1, verse 10 is like, whose approval am I seeking? Am I seeking the approval of man, or am I seeking the approval of God? And I was like, you know what? I am tired of seeking the approval of man because I wanted to seem like everything was running smooth for me. And it was like, yeah, he shouldn't show like any emotion or anything, or like show like he's struggling. Because usually the perception is, oh, if someone goes up to that altar, man, they struggling, man. They struggling. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't want it to look like your pride gets in the way, your ego gets in the way, that flesh, that self-sufficiency gets in the way, and you don't want to go like, oh man, they're up at the altar, I wonder what's wrong with them, because you're thinking about what other people are thinking about you, and you're not trying to get that word, that good stuff from Jesus. That like plagued me for years.
Yeah.
That plagued me from years. And I was like, and you remember like those past few weeks, I was like, man, I'm tired.
Yep.
I'm so tired, baby. Like we missed the podcast week. I was like, man, I'm so tired. Mm-hmm. I was tired from freaking like holding everything in, like holding all like my demons inside. And I just went up there and just like, I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think. I don't care what you think about me. I don't give a darn. I'm trying to get this blessing from God. I don't give a crap what anyone else thinks about me. Mm-hmm. I don't care about failing. I don't care about looking stupid. I don't care what you think about me. Because truth is, you're probably not even thinking about me. I'm making crap up in my head. But I read that Bible verse and it spoke to me that day. And I just went up there and just started screaming.
Yeah. But hey, that's valid. Like, people, to an extent, do care what people think about them. And whenever you stop caring, it's freeing.
It's so freeing. It's more tiring trying to act like you have it all together than to just be like, look, I'm a hot freaking mess. I'm going up here to go pray to God because he can fix it. Hey, you can't fix it. You can't fix it. So I'm about to go out here and get fixed. Like fear be dang. Like, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, I don't. It just, like, I have my demons. I have my mess. We'll talk about demons later. Like pornography. That's a bad thing. I just stopped. I was watching porn since I was like 12 years old. And I stopped like back in July. Like, it was just a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I just like by reading that Grace Walk, I was like, oh, so this is why I do that. Oh, okay. I've been able to like stop it. Mm-hmm. And I've been blessed to do it. It's still a fight, but now I got like, I was like, oh, why am I trying to do this by myself? I'm like Jesus take the wheel. And it's like, oh yeah. And now like our intimacy increases. Yeah. It's like, it's better. It's stronger now. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it was a distraction. Like, you start to like sit down and look what's really distracting you from like really fulfilling your potential. And I know a lot of men struggle with pornography out there. Like, that's the real deal thing. And you might not think it's a struggle because we all started like such an early age. Like, it was the combination of like the internet and like the internet and fast speed internet, and all guys were
phones.
Like, and phones make it even worse. Yeah, phones make it even worse. Instagram makes it even worse. It's just like, so like, if y'all got young kids with phones out there, they looking at it. I'm just gonna let y'all know right now, they looking. So you better keep a monitor on that, because it hurts. Like I said, but I was thinking that it wasn't having any effect on my life when it really was. It really was. It was just like hurting my potential. Like, you got to use that energy to transfer it into something more productive. And it happens to women too. Like, I'm out here on these forums and stuff. Like, it gets to women too. And what it does to women, like, it leads to like human trafficking and all that other stuff, like the negative things associated with like pornography and all that jazz, man. But we'll get down to that sometime in the future and how that can be affecting your relationship if you're not experiencing the intimacy that you want. I can probably think why it's not happening. Because like I said, you can't compete with that.
Can't compete with that.
Can't compete with that, homie. And it's like the easy button, man. It's like it's an instant drug fix, man. But everyone has their demons, man. I'm addicted to video games sometimes.
Everybody has their demons.
Everyone has
their sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone has their demons, man. But once you realize that, oh, God can fix it, if you can't fix it, you think you can fix it, but that's why people keep relapsing and stuff. They're putting their faith in something that's not God. So that's pretty much my journey to Jesus. It just started. Thank God for COVID, because I wouldn't be here where I am without COVID. So quick recap. The reason I didn't want to go to church was, first of all, I was like a Methodist. I didn't want to go to no Pentecostal church where they be kicking, screaming, running, spitting, slapping you in the face, trying to heal you all every Sunday. And no programs and no guide to when church is gonna get the heck out. Our church was mixed race, and I didn't want my black kids growing up all in the white church. And more importantly, I wanted it to be like woke white people who understood the plight of black people in America. And what else? Oh, and I just didn't understand Christ. I just didn't know God. That's why we had that opening. Like, you want to know God, like, you want to be close to God, you got to just know God, man. You got to build that relationship with him. It's all about the relationship with God, man. You ain't got to do all these works and try to like, what can you give God that he ain't already got? Hey, God, I made $1 million. Aren't you impressed with me?
All right.
The heck is that going to do? He don't care.
He don't care about none of that.
And that's pure arrogance to think that you got something that God won't.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, what you gonna give me? Like, what you gonna give me? Money? What? What you gonna give him?
You can't. He paid the ultimate price for you.
Like, all he wants is your faith.
All
he wants is your faith. He don't ask for money. He made it much more easier. He's given way more than you can ever give. And as far as our marriage, when we started becoming more woke in our spirituality, things didn't get easier. They got harder.
Oh, things definitely got harder.
They got harder because, like, our faith gets tested because the devil's like, oh, you like God now, huh? oh, we gonna test that.
Uh-huh.
We gonna test that marriage. We gonna test that will that you got. But I'm not here to try to fight the devil. Now I know I don't need to fight the devil. I got God to do that for me.
That's right. And God will always beat the devil every single time.
And every time you and I get in a fight or a kerfuffle, we come out stronger, man. Because we pray for each other. We're there for each other. We get it now. And I'm able to lead my family properly now. Like, I was relying on Talisha to like lead us spiritually. And that's just not her role. To be straight up, that's not her role. It took a lot of time, but she never gave up. Like, she was relentless. And you were relentless in like, hey, we're going to church. We're going to church. We're going to church. I just go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. But eventually it clicked. Like, you kept chipping away at me, kept chipping away. Not intentionally. All you want to do is hang out with your sister and your mom.
Oh, whatever.
So I was like, that's all you go to church for anyway. Shoot, if my best friend was at church, I have a great time too. But we kept going. But understand, I told y'all to like look at like the underlying theme of what was happening on our journey to Jesus. And what I got out of it was like, look, man, I was searching for comfort so much. I was so uncomfortable going to a white church. I was so uncomfortable going to a Pentecostal church. I was so uncomfortable like I wasn't like a good prayer, or I didn't believe what certain people believed. And I just really wanted to go back into my comfort zone where I wouldn't do any kind of growing. But I think God put me in this position where he's like, hey, you're going to go to a white church. You're going to go to a Pentecostal church, or it's completely different from what you've ever known in your life, because that's where I need you to grow, Patrick. That's where I need you to grow. You're not going to grow anywhere if you go back to a black church and you go sit back in those pews, but you're comfortable. You need to go to the white church, because that's where I need the work done. And that's where he's putting me, and that's where I'm going. So that was the underlying thing. Like, people, we out there searching to be comfortable, where if you go and look in the Bible, like, none of them cats was comfortable. Nobody who was comfortable made any type of difference.
Yeah.
And that's where God, like, super uncomfortable. So he's like, you better get used to this discomfort, because that's where I need you, Patrick. And I'm not trying to follow Patrick's plan anymore. I'm trying to follow God's plan. And like I said, it's made me a better husband to my wife, a better father to my sons, and a better leader of my family.
Amen. Thank you for listening to On the Up and Up with Patrick and Talisha. For access to all of our episodes, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and wherever you listen to our show. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and we will give you a shout out on our next episode. Stay connected with us on Twitter and Instagram at I am Pat Ratliff and at the Farm D Mommy. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next week. God bless.